All right, guys, what is going on? My name is Pipe Bomb City, and welcome to not my first ever SmackDown Live review. This is my WWE Draft 2016 review. Yes, guys, I'm going to say this right now, all right? In case you're a new viewer or someone who's subscribed already, doesn't really matter, all right? This is not going to be a SmackDown Live review. This is just going to be me going over all the draft picks, how the overall show went. I'm going to bring up a few things, a few of the matches that happened, but mainly I'm going to be focusing on all the draft picks, everything that's really been going on. I can't wait to talk about this. I've been talking about this for months. I'm so excited for this. This is going to be a long review probably, so be prepared, all right? But if you're looking for a SmackDown Live review, I'm not going to be providing one of those. I'm just going to be going over all the picks, my thoughts on the whole show. I did kind of like it. I feel like this was, you know what, I'm going to get in that in a minute, all right, guys? But here is the WWE 2016 Draft. Before this video begins, be sure to check out my Instagram at PipeBombCity, and be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on this video, all right? So getting into this, we got about 60 draft picks, I think. 6 NXT call-ups. I think there was one tag team breakup. Tons of shit happened, okay? But what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be pretty much going in order from the first pick to the last pick. Half of the picks were, of course, on the WWE Network. It was some draft exclusive thing. I didn't get to watch it live. I really wanted to watch it live. I didn't get to watch the draft live. I was in Chicago all day. I came home at like 9. I got to squeeze in everything. It was just late night, but here we are. We're going to be talking about this draft. And overall, I have a few things I want to say about it. First being that I did really like the picks. I got to go with Raw here. I've been thinking about it before. I said, oh, they're pretty much equal. I said that on my Instagram. I was talking about, it's like, oh, they're pretty much equal shows. I think they have both equal rosters. But if I'm really looking at it, Raw has a better roster. I'm still going to watch SmackDown Live. But I'm really more intrigued. I feel like this is okay. I'm sounding like a mess here. Let me sum it up by this. SmackDown is, as what they said they were going to be, pretty much the new talent roster, the underdogs, And then Raw is all the big stars, all the champions and shit. It's great. Raw has fucking 3 champions. So, I mean, it's, 5 if you count the tag team, but still. So here's that. I thought that was fine. Another thing I want to mention, I found it interesting how they didn't show the backstage segments. They just played the clips and they said, oh, I choose Seth Rollins, and then they didn't actually show his reaction. It was all YouTube shit, and I didn't really like that. Like, oh, if you want to see his reaction, check out our YouTube page or check out the network. I mean, I really would have liked it if they just showed it, but they didn't, so it's fine. Also, I got to say, the tag team division for SmackDown looks weak. It looks pretty weak. You got very little tag team talent other than American Alpha. Moving on to the next thing I want to talk about, the NXT draft picks were great. I'm happy with all of them. Everyone's saying, oh, Shinsuke Nakamura is going to come. I mean, he's not, But all right, I'm going to just get straight into this. All right, of course, we kicked off the show. They had the little video package, and we started off the night with not a match. They just got right into it, and they said it in the rules. They started off with the rules. Every 3 picks that Raw gets, SmackDown gets 2. The first ever pick, though, for this draft was Seth Rollins. I thought it was a great pick. A lot of people were saying it was going to be Rollins, and it was. It was great because he got the Stephanie McMahon thing going on, and it's just a great angle. I like how Rollins was the first pick, and I think it's great. But then SmackDown Live, I think they're calling it SmackDown Live now. I don't know if it's just going to be called SmackDown or SmackDown Live, but on my notes here on the fucking website, it says SmackDown Live for every single pick. So, I mean, I'm going to assume the show is called SmackDown Live now, which I do not like, but whatever. The second pick, the first for SmackDown, was the WWE Champion, Dean Ambrose. I thought that was great. You got Rollins and then Ambrose right next to each other. I thought that was great. And then they had the match later in the night. It made perfect sense, and I was pretty happy with it. The WWE fucking champion. It was great. The third pick, though, second for Raw, was the women's champion, Charlotte. I really liked that, though. How the third pick was a woman. I think we didn't have any for round 2, and we had a few in round 3. But, to have the third pick be a women's champ, I thought it was great. I thought, honestly, it was going to be John Cena or someone like that. But I think it's great, though, man. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. I think Charlotte's going to be great. You got Sasha, of course. I'm going to get into that later. But I thought it was great. And then you had Styles. Styles came up next. He was the second SmackDown pick. I thought that was a great pick, too. You got Styles and Ambrose versus Rollins and Charlotte, I noticed right away, like, 3 out of 4 of the first picks are heels. I thought that was fucking great, But Styles, I'll get into the whole thing with the club later. I really am going to be talking about that later. I can't say anything now. you pretty much already know the picks, but I'm going to be just getting into it later. So Styles was the 4th pick, and the final Raw pick, okay, for round 1 was Finn Balor. And I thought that was amazing to have a top 5 pick be someone, first of all, from NXT, and second of all, to be Finn Balor. I thought that was amazing. I thought it was great. He's already like one of the faces of Raw. If you look on their website and shit, I think it's amazing. He's going to have a great future ahead of him. It's going to be tough, though. I'm not going to lie, because you got Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. Oh, my God. You got all these top guys. Sheamus, a lot of big names there, but I think he'll fit in great with that roster. I think it's a great thing for him to be the 3rd pick for Raw. I think it's just great. The first NXT call, of course. Okay, you know what? I got a lot to talk about with the club, but I'll just get into that later, all right? Then we went on to round 2, all right? So round number 1 was Rollins, Ambrose, Charlotte, Styles, Balor. It's all pretty good, right? Round number 2, I fucking love this because Roman Reigns was the 6th pick here, and he got booed out of the building, and he's been gone for about a month now. Hasn't even showed up, hasn't said anything, and he just gets booed so fucking loud right away. I was like, holy shit, my dreams have come true. Because it was just amazing there, guys. So Roman Reigns was picked for Raw next. I mean, it's pretty much what we called, because then John Cena was drafted to SmackDown. I thought that was great. Of course, they're not the faces of both brands. That's probably going to be Rollins and Ambrose now, surprisingly. That's a great thing still. But we all thought it was going to be, Roman's on Raw and he's going to be the face, and Cena's going to be on SmackDown. He's the face. It's different now, because Rollins and Ambrose are, and I think that's fucking amazing. And maybe in the future, you get Styles and Balor. I mean, the club thing going, it's going to be great, But Reigns got booed out of the building. Cena got a loud reaction, too. It was pretty mixed, but I'm pretty happy it was Roman on Raw. I really don't care for him at all. I'm not a fan of his, so I really don't care which brand he went on to. I'm happy it was Raw, though. I'd prefer him to be on Raw. But then you got Cena on SmackDown. I think that's great. I feel like no one's making a big deal out of it that Cena's on SmackDown. He hasn't been on SmackDown since the Thugonomic days. It was great. All right. Then we had Brock Lesnar for the 8th pick. That was pretty huge. For him to be 8th, though, I don't know. I think that's a good spot for him. Not over the top 10, but not in the top 5. Because, of course, he's a great draw. He's great in the ring. But then you got to think of it like this, he barely shows up. So I think not in the top 5, but not over the top 10. I think that was a perfect spot for him. Of course, he's got the whole thing going on with the UFC and the failed USADA test going on. Him and John Jones, they actually got tested positive for the same thing. I found it funny how Roman and Lesnar, the 2 failed suspension thing going on, they were both in round 2. Thought that was great, Except Lesnar technically isn't suspended yet. So we don't know what's going on with Lesnar. Right now, this has been going on for a few days, and still WWE said nothing about if he's suspended. I thought that was really interesting, but Lesnar's the 8th pick. I was fine with that. And then you had Randy Orton. I really thought that they were going to say New Day on SmackDown, and they were going to say Randy on Raw. So then at SummerSlam, it could have been Randy versus Lesnar, but they would have both been on the same brand. Found it interesting, though, how they put them both on Raw and SmackDown. I thought that was interesting, but of course the 9th pick was Randy Orton for SmackDown Live. I think that's fine, Pretty much the only really big names that are on SmackDown Live are Orton and Cena. If you want to count, Styles and Ambrose, but I'm saying, the big draws are Cena and Orton. I think that's fine. You got to have big names on SmackDown. I love how I think it's funny how everyone's saying like, oh, I thought it's supposed to be the underdog show, all the new talent. And then you got Cena and Orton. Well, if it's competition to get, more buy rates, I mean, you got to have guys like that, but still, I'm just some guy on the internet talking about random shit. Orton on SmackDown, I love it. I'm fine with it, I think he's going to have some great-ass matches with some of the young talent on there. Orton, and then you guys, oh, my God, you got so much young talent on there. I think it's great. And then the 10th pick, the final one for the top 10, was the WWE Tag Team Champions, the New Day. All right. I think that's great. I think they should have been in the top 10. I really just, I love it because I can't stop thinking about Stephanie saying the New Day intro, and it was just the stupidest shit. Oh, my God. But I liked it. New Day's on Raw, and New Day is not New Day, but the tag team division on Raw is strong as hell, man. On SmackDown, you got pretty much American Alpha and all the job teams, but on Raw, holy shit, you got so much good team. You got Enzo and Cass, you got the Club, you got the New Day. Oh my god, you got the Dudley Boys. It's just a lot of great tag teams are going on Raw. SmackDown, not so much. I kind of wish that American Alpha would have been drafted to Raw, but I mean, that's kind of ruined for SmackDown because they had no tag team talent. So I don't really know, but I'm happy that New Day's on Raw. I think it's great, And then for round 3 now, we got, and this is what I don't like. All right, you know what, man? The 11th pick was Sami Zayn, and I love Sami, but for him to be the 11th pick, over the Intercontinental Champion and the United States Champion, over Enzo and Cass by a lot, over Kevin Owens, guys like that, over the Club. I don't know, over Cesaro and shit. I'm not saying those guys could have been 11th, but saying that Sami Zayn was above them by a lot for most of those guys, it really bothered me. But whatever, Sami Zayn was the 11th pick. I'm fine with it. He was one of the very few cruiserweights. Stephanie was saying on Raw this week, she was like, oh, we're going to have a cruiserweight division exclusive on Raw. From all the picks, even on the whole roster, there's not a lot of guys you consider cruiserweights. And when you split that in half, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. But I don't know, man. Maybe they should just forget about whatever idea they got going on there. Moving on, though, the 12th pick, I was fine with this. Bray Wyatt, Face of Fear, was the next pick for SmackDown Live. I'm happy with that. Split away from the Wyatt family. I'm surprised they didn't count as a team. It's set on the rules and eligible teams and stars, they weren't as a team. I was like, well, shit, I guess they're getting split up. And that's exactly how it was. It's Wyatt and Eric Rowan, and then Strowman is on Raw. And I really don't like that. I'm not really a fan of Eric Rowan. I'd rather have, if they're going to do the angle, with Bray Wyatt and Strowman maybe winning the titles rather than Wyatt and Eric Rowan winning the titles, I think that'd be better, but maybe they're just not going to be the Wyatt family anymore. I'm very pissed, though. I'm very pissed that they were split up because they were finally getting on a roll. They had the whole thing going on with the New Day. They literally just came back after being gone for months and all this horrible booking, and then they're finally back. They're finally doing something relevant. It was all good. And then they split up. And I was like, well, shit, it's just dumb booking, I wasn't a fan of that. The 13th pick, the second woman, was Sasha Banks going to Raw. I'm happy with that. Not much to say other than that. Other than that, I'm surprised that they're splitting the women's division instead of having one exclusive on Raw. If they're going to have the quote-unquote cruiserweight thing going on Raw, if you even want to call it that, then they could have the women's on SmackDown. I thought that would have been great, but instead you got 5 on Raw and 5 on SmackDown, which I just think is so dumb. If you're going to have 10 women wrestlers on the main roster, like, come on, you got to have it exclusive on one show, And I know they only probably have like one match, and it's a fraction of the show. But I'm saying, though, I just think it's so dumb that you got 2 separate things, 5 people. It just doesn't make sense to me. But the 14th pick was another woman here, the third one, going to SmackDown. It was Becky Lynch. I'm not really a fan of Becky Lynch. I know there's tons of Lynch fans out there. I'm just not one of them. But whatever. I'd rather have Sasha on Raw or Sasha on SmackDown, but her and Charlotte can do their rivalry of the century, I guess, The 15th pick, this surprised me. I thought this was going to be one of the champions, either IC or US title, but it's not. It's Chris Jericho. I love Jericho to death. I'm happy that he actually got a high pick. I'm not complaining about it, but a lot of people were like, oh, Chris Jericho, who gives a shit when you got guys so much other talent? Whatever, man. And that was the end of round 3. Moving on to round 4. We're about halfway through the show right now. Not the review. The actual SmackDown show. Then you got the U.S. champ, Rusev with Lana on Raw, was 16th pick. And then you got the Intercontinental champion, The Miz, with Maurice on SmackDown. I'm fine with that, man. I think Miz, and I love how Brian was announcing his pick. Like, as much as I hate to do this, The Miz is on SmackDown. I thought that was great. I'm fine with the U.S. title on Raw, and I'm fine with the SmackDown on I'm fine with the Intercontinental on SmackDown. I think that's fine, you know. I find it funny how the U.S. title went before the Intercontinental title. I really wish that Miz would have been a little bit higher on the list, and I really wish my next pick up here. I really wish the 18th pick, Kevin Owens on Raw, would have been higher. This is where it really bothered me. Kevin Owens, who had the career or the year of his life, you know, and now he's on his second and he's still kicking ass. And he's the 18th pick and he's below guys like Becky Lynch and Sami Zayn and it's just in Rusev. It really bothered me, man. I think Owens should have been in the top 15, but he's the 18th pick. I didn't really like that, you know, but whatever. Owens is on Raw. Coincidentally, the same as Sami. The 19th pick. Again, I don't understand this. It was Baron Corbin, man. And I can understand that, honestly. I'm not as upset about that as I am with Owens, you know. But Corbin, I think that's great for him to be in the top 20. I think that's fine. You know, Corbin's going to SmackDown. I think that's great. You know, the land of new opportunity. He's going to have a great shot there, you know, against some really young talent. He's one fucking young talent. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's going to be great. And the 20th pick, Enzo and Big Cass going to Raw. And then a WWE, I'm sorry, how does King Ross do it? For those of you that watch What Culture, this was a WTF moment because you had Enzo and Cass. They were drafted to Raw, and then Shane rips up his notes. This is where, if Shane really wanted them, and he looked pretty pissed, he's like, oh, he's ripping up the notes. Like, girl, I wanted those guys. You would have picked them earlier, you know, but wrestling, man. That's a WTF moment from King Ross himself. That was the end of round 4, you know. Getting into round 5. This is where guys like, okay, pretty much other than the club, I'm fine with all these guys being in round 5 and 6. I'll get into Cesaro later, all right, for those of you who know what's going on with that. Other than 5 and 6, we got the rest of the picks were the network exclusive. I'm still going to be talking about those. I didn't watch it happen, though. You know, I'm just reading my list right now. This is all the draft picks. I didn't watch what happened there, but I'm assuming it's pretty much just interviews and all the shit. The only one I really saw was Cesaro backstage. But, all right, getting into this. The 21st pick, the first one around 5, was Gallows and Anderson going to Raw. This is, oh, my God, I've been talking about this for some time in the video. I really wanted to talk about the club situation, okay? Because I got some theories going on here. It sounded nerdy as hell, but all right. You got Gallows and Anderson on Raw, the same as Finn Balor, and the opposite of AJ Styles. So what's going on here? All right, I don't think right away Balor is going to be going with Gallows and Anderson. I think that'd just be dumb. At least let the brand get used to him and let the fans that don't know who he is, surprisingly, be like, wow, this guy's fucking talented. At least get the fans that know who he is and love who he is, soak him all in, like, he's here on Raw. You know, give him time to be him. Maybe get some title opportunity. Maybe get his own singles title first, you know? But I don't know, you know? He could do a page and win the fucking title on his first match. That'd be great on the main roster. That'd be fucking awesome. I'd like to say I'm up for it, you know? But getting into this, all right, Balor maybe later in the year or early 2017, maybe before WrestleMania season. Maybe by the time, all right, perfect time for this. Time of the Royal Rumble, okay? It doesn't have to be at the Royal Rumble, just near that time, you know, before or after, I really don't care. Around that time, WrestleMania season, getting into it, Balor starts to team up with Gallows and Anderson. You know, they got the whole thing going on like, oh, did you know that we were part of the Bullet Club? And then they got that whole thing going on. And then maybe like at WrestleMania or something, I don't know how they could lead up to it, but they could have Styles versus Gallows, Anderson, and Balor. Maybe just Styles versus Balor. That'd be fucking awesome. And then Gallows and Anderson are on Balor's corner. And it could be a fucking WrestleMania. It could be for a title. I don't care. But it could be like, oh, yeah, I thought you guys were my friends here. And then you ditch me to go to Raw with Balor. And it's like, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think that'd be a great rivalry. Getting up next year, the 22nd pick, another NXT call-up, American Alpha. Oh, my Lord. I was so happy about this. I knew it was coming. I think we all did. But I'm so happy about this, man. American Alpha's finally up. I was talking about this earlier. This tag team division on SmackDown is really weak. If you didn't have American Alpha, I mean, it's just weak. But they do. They can have a chance to make names for themselves even more, you know, and then maybe get go to Raw later. I don't know. I'd love to see these guys as tag team champions soon. Maybe for the end of the year, maybe next year. I really don't care. I'm just hoping that they stay as a team for a really long time because I love how connected they are. They have such good connection and chemistry in the ring. I think it's great. The 23rd pick was Big Show. This should have been maybe where Cesaro was, okay? Maybe, because Cesaro was the 28th pick, the third to last on the fucking live show, which just, it really bothered me. It really bothered everybody. I think instead of having Big Show as 23rd, maybe Cesaro, that might have been a little bit better, But Big Show, I haven't seen him in a long ass time. Whatever. He's the 23rd pick, I guess. 24th was Dolph Ziggler. Not really much to say about that. He's going to SmackDown. And then you got the 25th pick, last one around 5. Nia Jax was actually the first NXT woman to be called up here for the draft. I thought that was a great pick. A lot of Nia Jax haters, the same people that don't like Kevin Owens, if you know what I'm talking about, man. The fat jokes and oh, they can't wrestle and all that shit. But whatever. I think it's a great character. I think the next Karma. I think a lot of good opportunities are here. I think it's a great thing. A lot of women to compete with. A great contender for Charlotte or Sasha going on. I think that'd be great. Getting into round 6. All right, this is pretty much the what about these guys round. Neville was the 26th pick. He's coming back soon. He's going to Raw. Yes. 27th pick, Natalya going to SmackDown. Okay. 28th pick, Cesaro. He said in the backstage interview, he's like, oh, I'm not happy about this at all. And you could tell there was some real life frustration. He's like, oh my God, getting picked 28. It's just unacceptable. I really wanted to be out there and blah, blah, blah. I agree with him. He should have been at least in round 5, but in the middle of round 6. But, whatever, man. Cesaro was the 28th pick going to Raw. Alberto Del Rio was the 29th pick going to SmackDown. And the 30th pick was Sheamus going to Raw. And that was the end of the live show. Getting into round 7, this was all on the network. You had the 31st pick going over Demon Kane, Paige, the Dudley Boys, Apollo Crews. Who else? Eric Rowan, Carmella, Mojo, Vaudevillains. Do you know who you had go above all those guys? Golden Truth was the 31st pick. You know who's not that far behind him? Titus O'Neil's the 33rd pick. I was just like, what the fuck when I found out about this? Come on, though. I get the Tyson's been doing some relevant things, but he's just been losing. And Golden Truth, it's just dumb, Even if those guys are finally becoming relevant, I'm just not a fan of them, and it's probably just real hate for me just against these guys, but whatever, man. The 32nd pick was the Usos going to SmackDown. Golden Truth and Titus are going to Raw. 34th pick was Demon Kane going to SmackDown. I love how they say Demon Kane. It's like 2 separate fucking people. 35th was Paige going to Raw. That's the end of round 7. Round 8 was Darren Young with 36th. 37 was Kalisto going to SmackDown. Darren's going to Raw, by the way. 38th was Sin Cara. All right, 39th was Naomi returning, I guess. I don't know. I think she had something going on with her ankle or something like that. 40th pick was Jack Swagger. 41st pick, or Swagger's going to Raw. 41st pick is The Ascension going to SmackDown Live. Round 9, 42nd pick, the Dudley Boys going to Raw. 43rd pick, Zack Ryder going to SmackDown. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not really talking about any of this. There's really not much to say until we get to the rest of the NXT call-ups coming up shortly here. 44th pick was Summer Rae. I didn't even know she was still here. 45th pick was Apollo Crews, which I think is bullshit. Should have been a bit higher instead of 45th in round 9. But whatever, man. Apollo Crews is going to SmackDown. 46 is Mark Henry going to Raw. And the final one for round 9 was Alexa Bliss, 47th, going to SmackDown Live from NXT. Holy shit, man. I was so excited for this. Her, Nia Jax, and later on another fucking woman being announced. I was so happy because the women's division is finally getting some new people. Bad news is the NXT women's division is getting fucked because they got Asuka and Bayley. That's it. And that was like, okay, come on, because the NXT division has nobody now, at least on the women's side. And now on the men's side even, there's not really anything. But whatever, man. I mean, maybe I'm forgetting a lot of things. There's still a lot of male talent. There's still some pretty good tag teams, but the women's division in NXT is dropping, so hopefully they can find some new indie stars or something like that, But Alexa Bliss, I'm happy with that, And then we had number 10, round 10 here. 48th pick going to Raw is Braun Strowman. Incredibly low. I'm so pissed about that. Going underneath Summer Rae and all this shit. Oh, my God, dude. But whatever. He's on the opposite brand as Rowan and Wyatt, I guess. Breezango was 49th going to SmackDown. 50th was Bo Dallas going to Raw individually. 51st was Eva Marie going to SmackDown. Oh, my God. That's just disgusting. 52nd was the Shining Stars going to Raw. 53rd was the Vaudevillains going to SmackDown. Round 11 now, the final one. The 54th pick was Alicia Fox going to Raw. The 55th pick was Eric Rowan going to SmackDown. The 56th pick was Dana Brooke going to Raw. 57th was Mojo Rawley. I'm very excited for this. Going to SmackDown from NXT. 58th was Curtis Axel from Raw onto Raw. And 59th is Carmella going to SmackDown Live from NXT. Amazing. Overall, with this draft, there was a lot of great picks. There was a lot of picks that made me go, all right, that's pretty damn stupid. But overall, I was happy with how the show rolled. They had some pretty good matches going on. Of course, it was not a SmackDown Live review. I was just talking about the draft. The matches were good, though, for SmackDown Live. I'm looking forward to the future from here. This is the official start to the new era, even though they said that at Payback and Money in the Bank. This is the official beginning of the new era, apparently, It's just great. I think they should have just said that now. But whatever, man. That's the end of my draft review for 2016. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to check my Instagram at PipeBombCity and be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Thank you guys for 65 subscribers and 5.3K followers on Instagram. This has been Pipe Bomb City. Thank you for watching. I dearly appreciate it. And I will see you all next time.